I can't stress this enough. There's no better way to lose sleep and wake up the next morning going, oh my God, what did I do? Yo, what's going on, everybody? Dave Locker with OddsShopper. And if you're stumbling upon this video or maybe searching for it specifically, it's because you want to make money betting in the NBA. So I've got 6 crucial required steps to understand if you're going to look to be a long-term, successful, sustainable winner in the NBA, betting on it day in and day out. So without further ado, let's get into the most important step here. But first, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below with comments and questions. All of them are appreciated. The number one step here, and again, all of these are important in their own right, but number one is you have to shop the lines, okay? Now, you might look at this as tedious and unnecessary and you'd rather go on to your favorite sports book and just fire at whatever prop you like the most. But I'm hoping right now that I can change your mind on this thought process, right? Whether you're a brand new bettor, that's good. It's a clean slate. You don't have any preconceived notions. There's nothing weighing you down up in here. Or you've been doing this long enough and you go, okay, well, I don't really want to change my process, but maybe my process isn't working. Here it is. You aren't going to win all of the time. As a matter of fact, you know, you look at professional, profitable sports bettors, they're winning slightly more than they lose, right? Like if you're at 55%, 54%, that's good. Otherwise, if you're just treading water, you're bleeding out to the juice, which is, you know, if you're looking at these bets, you'll see the minus 110 on one side, maybe minus 120. That means that for every 110 you bet, you win 100. You're not always betting 100 to win 100. These lines are not equal across the board. And I want to give you an example now that I hope can change your opinion on this. Over at OddsShopper.com, first week is free, by the way. If you wanted to check it out, link is in the description. It's going to save you an insane amount of time. You can do this by yourself, but if you take OddsShopper, I'm going to give you some examples that'll make your life way easier and understand this. So look at Paul George assists, right? 4.5 assists. Now, this is going to be, in a lot of cases, 4.5 assists across all of these books, but they are not equal. Just because it's 4.5 on BetMGM and DraftKings and FanDuel doesn't mean it's all the same prop. So look at this. Paul George at PointsBet, 4.5 assists. You want to bet the under? Minus 125. What about at BetMGM? Minus 165. Massive difference there that you're leaving money on the table when you're not taking advantage of these. Miles Turner, 3-pointers. Okay, 1.5 threes everywhere, right? And you'll see massive fluctuation in props as well, more than you will across the board with actual sides and totals. 1.5 threes, minus 110 at DraftKings, minus 130 at FanDuel. So sure, it may be more convenient to simply use your favorite book, but you're leaving money on the table. And think of it like this. Let me give you an extreme example, but one that might kind of crystallize it for us. Let's say that 10 straight days, you're betting this Paul George prop, okay? 10 straight days, you're betting this Paul George prop, and you're betting to win 100, okay? So you're betting a unit to win $100 unit. So if you were to bet 125 over at PointsBet, because that's what you would need to win 100 at minus 125, and let's say you won this bet every single day, okay? 10 days you bet it, 10 days you won it. You would have bet $12,500 to win $1,000. If you were over at BetMGM and it's the only book you play at, you would have needed to bet $1,650 to win $1,000. Assuming that every day for 10 straight days you won this bet. Shop the lines, pay attention, whether you want to do it manually or use OddsShopper. Again, first week is free. Check it out. Use that to your advantage and shop the lines. Number 2, and I see this happen all the time. You know, I do a lot of shows. We do a lot of videos here. You see a lot of comments. People largely assuming that they have outsmarted the books. Don't assume that you are smarter than the books. That doesn't mean that you don't have some good reads on stuff. That also might not mean that you're not going to be right about these a decent amount of the time. But these sportsbook operators pay people millions of dollars, much smarter than myself, okay? Much smarter than all of us out there to make these type of decisions and to set these type of lines and to pay attention to this type of stuff. Don't assume that you are accounting for things that they aren't. For example, Luka Doncic is out. All right, we have to go hammer the Kyrie Irving prop. All right, over points. Or Giannis Antetokounmpo is out. You can't bet the Bucks today against the spread. They're accounting for all of this. It's all baked into the line. It doesn't work that way. However, take advantage of price discovery and news throughout the day. Take advantage of early lines, because that is where beating the closing line is truly going to be massively beneficial in the long run, okay? You can take advantage of all of this in a number of ways. One, when the lines first drop. Mind you, listen, the market sets the lines, right? The sports books are going to put a line out there, but ultimately the market sets the line. That's why you see them moving, right? Certain action, a lot of money, sharp action coming in on one side, moves to the other side. That's what it is, right? So you're going to get these initial lines that oftentimes are going to be valued as inefficient once the game starts and once the line closes. So if you were to go, say, DraftKings, and look at these lines when they first come out and then compare them to where they are at 7 p.m. or whatever tip-off the next day, a lot of times they have moved significantly. That is one of the areas where you can get legitimate closing line value, where you bet the line is better than it would be if you were to bet it at 7 p.m. or right before the game starts. A lot of casual bettors are always going into this and they're pulling up their phone and they're looking at the lines 30 minutes before tip because they're looking for the best bet. The best bet comes out when the lines first drop, and that's when you should be sniping it. Also, pay close attention to news. One of the best ways to do this, there's a lot of different great ones out there on Twitter that you can set up or follow them, set up notifications on your phone, and anytime news drops, it'll immediately come straight to your phone. And then you can come over to whether OddsShopper or whatever book you're at, if you want to play it that way, and find lines that are still stale, okay? That books have hung up there that they haven't taken off. A lot of them have gotten a lot quicker at pulling these immediately, like say Luka gets ruled out, then all of the props and the lines and the side, the totals will come off the board until they reconfigure and put them back up. But some books are still hanging those stale lines. That is one way that you can pounce immediately, especially, you know, if you're on like No House Advantage or Prize Picks as well. They leave them up there a lot longer. Always be apprised of what's going on. Set up notifications, because that's a massive edge that wins out over time. Beating the closing line, getting in on news before these books pull them. Next up, number 4, do not make these type of bets. Number 1, and I can't stress this enough, a lot of these sports books are going to give you pre-made odds boosts, okay? Pre-made odds boosts where they're like, bet Jason Tatum and Julius Randle both to go over 25 points and have 8+ rebounds, boosted from -110 to +130. Now, those are arbitrary numbers, right? Because there was never an original line on that. There's no actual lines anywhere on those. It's arbitrary. Now, we do have an odds boost calculator at OddsShopper, but sometimes you're going to get these pre-made props that are just wildly unfavorable to you, the person that they're trying to get to bet them, okay? There's difference between like profit boost, where they just go, hey, 100% profit boost on your next bet, 50% profit boost on a two-leg plus parlay. That's different than these pre-made boosts. Another one, like first basket props. That's an example where if you're just betting to have fun and you like the quick sweat at the beginning of the game, fine. But those are not going to be profitable long-term at all. Those are the type of things you want to stay away from if you're trying to actually make money betting the NBA. And don't tease the NBA either. In football, it's great. But the reason it's great in football is because there are key numbers, right? 3, 7, to a lesser extent, the 10s, the 14s, and then there's key numbers in totals as well, although you really want to stay away from teasing totals. But in basketball, there are no key numbers, right? Teasing 3 points to 7 points doesn't make a difference in the NBA, whereas, where 3 to 7, and like in football, teasing something from 1 or from say 2 to 8 makes a massive difference because you're covering those key numbers. Don't tease in NBA betting. Number 5, understand basic stats. Now, you don't need to go crazy with this, and there's tools out there that can help you out a lot. But say something like NBA.com, okay? NBA.com/stats. We got it up on the screen. Just try and get a good idea of how these teams play, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are. You can look at advanced stats, right? And on this page, defensive rating, offensive rating, pace. You can look at opponent stats. You can go to player tracking data if you're looking at props and see not only how many assists they have, but how many potential assists they have per game. You know, how many touches they have, rebound opportunities instead of just rebounds. That stuff can be wildly misleading. This is more important too when I'm talking about for prop bets. People look at things that you see it so frequently. Hey, he's averaging this many rebounds over his last 5 games, or this many assists over his last 5 games. Yeah, okay, so he's averaging 7 assists over his last 5 games. His assist prop is at 5.5. But then you go over to NBA stats, you go into player tracking, and you go, oh, wait a second. He's only averaging 8 potential assists per game. He's running insanely hot on teammates converting these passes into assists. So that stuff can work massively in your favor if you know where you're looking. Also, look at rotations. Look at starting lineups. Popcornmachine.net. It's free. It's archaic, but it's awesome. I still use it, and it's free, and it's helpful. Understand rotations. Also understand what starting lineups look like. There are instances where certain coaches may start different starting lineups against certain or specific opponents based on, you know, maybe how big the front court is or how small the front court is. If you can glean some insight into that before the starting lineups are released, you can also get some nice edges when it comes to props, overs, unders, depending on what you think the starting lineups are going to look like. And number 6, we'll wrap it up with this. Exploit live betting opportunities, but do not chase them. Man, I've gone down that rabbit hole before. We all have, right? I'll still remember, was it last year, a little while ago, a few years ago, I guess. It was a Bucks game against the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Blazers had nobody. They had nobody, and I'm watching this game. Bucks were huge favorites. I'm down. Blazers are winning by a ton, and I'm thinking and I'm not betting the Bucks money line, but I'm just betting them to cover this insane number. Betting them to win. I kept hitting it, and of course they didn't, because it's basketball. It's an 82-game season, and it doesn't always work like that. The best team doesn't always win. But this is all algorithmic with the way that these live odds change, right? These books aren't going to catch everything. There are nuances in these games that you may actually be able to pick up on. So my recommendation is watch these games that you're live betting, right? Like, don't just go into a game, go on your phone and be like, oh man, they shouldn't be down by this much. Let me bet the live money line, or let me bet the live spread. Instead, pay attention to these games, because you're going to pick up on certain things that these algorithms might not pick up on, and then you have to take advantage of it. So ideally, bet them when it's at a timeout, or if their props are up and they're on the bench, right? Those type of opportunities, because if you're betting them while the clock is ticking and while the game is being played, what's going to happen in that instance is these lines will move usually before you can place them. They're moving before you see what the next play is, right? So you'll see it move, and then you'll see why it moved, because the previous play, they had seen it happen, and the delay is just getting to you. So there's a lot of ways to take advantage and be opportunistic with live betting, especially if you're in tune with that specific game and those specific players. But don't chase. If it's not working out, don't chase. You can find yourself down a whole lot. I can't stress this enough. There's no better way to lose sleep and wake up the next morning going, oh my God, what did I do? Than to chase in live betting. But you can find ways to be very profitable with this. So I hope all of that helps, guys. Shop the lines. Shop the lines. Take advantage of that free week of OddsShopper down below. Don't assume that you're smarter than the books. Take advantage of the early lines and closing line value, and pay attention to news. Don't make bad bets and bets that are never going to be profitable. Understand basic stats and exploit live betting opportunities when they present themselves. Appreciate you guys watching. Check out all the other content daily, whether it's NBA, NFL, MLB, everything out there. We got you covered right here on OddsShopper. And good luck. Let's win some money in the NBA. Peace.